It's so surreal to describe the situations in our game.
Yeah.
It's like, a standard game. This is when you kill an enemy. This is when you shove a tire over a fat woman with enormous breasts.
Yeah.
And then, beat her around a cathedral.
Yes.
Like, it just becomes more obscene and more surreal.
Yeah.
I can imagine you guys getting the slugs of what this was going to be for. And be like, what?
Yeah, we would laugh our ass off because it would say, like, just that, hookers, get cut into, put bag over hooker's head, bounce around. And sometimes, fantastically, in stilted, reconstituted English. So it would be like reading.
That was not my fault.
No, I know.
That was not my fault.
Go time fun thing, good there. And you'd be like crying, laughing, and then. So yeah. Anyway, it fit in with me being a stand-up because I tend to riff as a stand-up and I do a lot of improv. So I really enjoyed that part. I don't like a lot. What I like is some rules because some rules gives you the structure to be able to build something. Mm-hmm. I find that one of the big lies about everything is do what you want, because do what you want is a mess. Yeah. And there has to be direction and there has to be, guidelines. Mm-hmm. But within those guidelines, there's a whole world. Like Islamic art or whatever. People go, oh, isn't it constricted because you can't use figures or you can't use faces and whatnot? Yeah. No, it's simply, the parameters are set, and therefore within that there's an infinite world.
Yeah. Work within your four walls.
I think that makes for good creativity and good. I hesitate to use the word art, but certainly craft. Mm-hmm. When anybody ever says "do what you want" or "there's no limits" or this and that, I tend to find that it's a bit of a, if you'll pardon the expression, masturbatory, because you're getting yourself off and nobody else. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think the duty is you've got an audience, and the audience has to respond to what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And if you're just rambling or rattling, not so good. When there's, that's why stand-up works for me. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get a laugh every 15 to 30 seconds. So the rules are written. Mm-hmm. No matter what you're talking about, you still have to come back to laugh lines and punchlines that are going to spur the audience on.
Just to hit up something that I think you're probably known best for, which is the Who's Line stuff.
Sure.
Did any of the Who's Line stuff kind of make it into Mad World? Did you slip something in that people might have missed?
Well, not that I can remember off the top of my head, but I'm certain it did. We had so many riffs that we did 1,000 times on that show. And, again, with those guys, people would say to us, did you guys really make it up? Which is a left-handed compliment, right?
Yeah.
It's a compliment in so much as they think, oh, well, it had to have been written because how could you possibly be so clever as to think of those dick jokes? But by the same token, we've been doing it a long time and we work together a lot and we've known each other. I've known all the Who's Line guys for, God, we're on to 20 years now almost. Yeah. In fact, it'll be 20 years this year.
Wow.
And after you work with someone that long, you know what they're going to do. And I think that's the reason why people liked Who's Line so much, that was slightly unsafe and unpredictable. It was a regular network television show, and it was in England for 10 years before that, and I did the whole thing, but we really didn't know what we were going to say, and sometimes you'd say something so up and weird that everybody had to go with it, and then we would make it work, and you just don't get that in scripted shows. And if you would ever let network executives decide what's going to happen, they're going to homogenize it to the point where there's nothing good ever. Yeah. Because people who run networks don't do their own laundry. They don't raise their own children. They have nannies. They don't wash their own car. They don't go to the post office. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have lives. Your life is going to the grocery store. Your life isn't sending someone to do everything for you.
Yeah.
So then I read a quote the other day from one of the network execs because they're making more sitcoms this year.
Yeah.
People want sitcoms because of the economic downturn. Yeah. People are depressed.
And you know that there's a meeting of like 80 guys who came up with that.
Hey, Dad, catch a wave. It's been this way for 2 years. Oh, and the other part of the quote was, after 9/11, everybody really wanted reality. It was like, honey, no one ever wanted anything that you people shoved up our ass.
Yeah.
People want entertainment. They want stories. They want action. They want whatever. They want to feel something.
Yeah, exactly.
And it feels like TV, particularly, and big movies, big budget type movies are trying to keep you from feeling things, which is, I think, why people love independent things so much and why why independent films took over the Oscars in the last 10 years, and why a picture like Slumdog Millionaire out of nowhere, which would have never been nominated for an Oscar 15, 20 years ago. That would have been Best Foreign Film, shunted.
It would have been a
shunted.
Bollywood, even if it would have gotten any respect as a Bollywood movie to begin with.
Yeah. So, I think that's the big upshot of it is the interweb, and that's the positive part of it. The negative part is that it detaches people because they spend too much time alone on their computer or on their game. But the positive part is that there's an independent world where everyone is empowered now. And also the idea of feeling something and interacting with other people in that world is important. And I think that's the best thing that's happened out of all of this.
So we've only got a minute left.
Yeah, I could blather forever.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. I would love to indulge it. But I just want to ask you one last thing. Is what are you working on now?
I have a chat show that I do over at a place called Largo in La Cienega in Los Angeles. I know your pod people might be here. And, of course, I do my stand-up. I'm on Nickelodeon for you young children that are watching on a show called True Jackson VP. That's on Saturday nights.
And
I'm on Flight of the Conchords, which I think they're showing ad nauseum on HBO.
Yes, they do
Yes.
air that quite often.
I play an advertising asshole, as if there was another kind of person in advertising.
Well, Mad Men.
Mad Men, there you
go. And obviously all your old material lives on YouTube.
It lives on forever and ever. And Whose Line? We might be doing something. I can't really talk about it. Drew's trying to whip up some improv thing. And also, I'm going to have an album coming out this year called Elsewhere on a special thing label, which you can go on the web and find. It's the same level as Doug Benson's on it, Brian Posehn, a lot of guys. So
cool. I
made a new album there.
Excellent.
And I call it an album because I'm old.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre.
A pleasure.
Pleasure, pal.
Great. Thank you very much.
Cheers.